might be thinking why I'm wearing these clothes today. My answer is I hope this is going to be an annual event for me as a disastrous game. So I'm going to present my disaster game at least by far in 2020. So I'm going to explain all the disastrous game in round 5 for NCL Online. So let's get started. My game against International Master Andrew Greed from Scotland. So here Andrew played rook takes d5, e takes d5. Now it's quite difficult here as black really wants to have a break on the center, but after bishop f4 now d6's hopes are gone. Now what black has to worry about e6, and so I played castles, and after h4 I was quite relieved. I was worried about queen d1, and after queen d1 I thought like king h8, queen takes d8, and yeah, engines are saying some b4, rook a, e8, and then knight d8, knight d6 ideas. But it's really hard from there, and I think white has really sufficient compensation. But after h4, it gave me time to protect my d5 pawn. So I played bishop c5 with the idea if queen d2 or queen d1, then knight e7 protects the d5 pawn. So after bishop c5, he played knight g5, and I understood that he's going for the kill. And after knight e7, queen h5, had 6. And here I thought Andrew would play knight h3. I was not sure what to do there, but after knight d2, I was very surprised. After h takes g5, h takes g5, and here was the critical point. I was really happy about my position because I have a rook up and a bishop up, I think. No, am I a bishop up? No, it's just a rook up. So here I was so happy about myself that if I would just take a second and think what would white do or what's his idea, I would understand that white would like to play something like g6 and bishop takes d5. So after that I could have played queen c6, protecting the d5 pawn. So that was a really simple way to prevent white's threat. And I played queen b6, just of course instantly, and then Andrew was I guess excited and played bishop takes d5, but he had a much better resource with g6, and g6 bishop takes f2, king h2, and yeah, things get complicated. Bishop takes rook f7 and bishop takes a8, knight takes f4, e takes f4, g6, queen f3, and stuff like that. So but Andrew played bishop takes d5. I couldn't really imagine how I would lose this, and after knight takes g6, rook e8. I thought to play rook c8, but I thought somehow if my king wants to escape, I could go like f8, e7, d8, and the rook would be quite useful there. So after rook e8, bishop g5, queen e6. So if some cases after queen h7, king f8, queen h8, then queen g8 is there. So here he played knight f3, and I think Andrew lost his hopes by now. But here I was really confused what to do here. Like, I think I had 2 minutes left on the clock, and I had many options here. And I started to get depressed after seeing that knight e7 is sort of confusing after bishop f6. The point is, after bishop f6, white threatens a mate in 2 with queen h7, queen g7. And if I take, it's again a mate because queen h7, so on, g7 is there. So after that, I kind of got depressed there. And actually, surprisingly, Indians get, as not surprising, so quite obvious, Indians would find a nice move here, and that was bishop b7. So eyeing on the f3 knight, and also with a really nice plan with rook a6 and queen takes g6, which is like game over. So I didn't play any of bishop b7 and this. I played f4, which is still okay if I follow up with the right way after e takes f4. Now here I should have played knight takes f4, but I played knight e7, which was a big blunder, and it's really hard to imagine that from -8, like I had a queen up advantage, I just went on to get a +5 position for white. So after that move, knight e7, Andrew took, bishop takes, f5 and queen d5. And here I was like so happy, and I think Andrew took 7 minutes here, and then I think he realized, yeah, he's just completely winning after f6, bishop takes f6, queen h7, and e takes f6, and then like queen h8, and then f7. I thought somehow I would be like rook up, but then I realized that after f7, queen takes h7, and after, yeah, Now it's like totally shocking for me that I'm not even a pawn up there. I'm a pawn down, and this was my disastrous game of 2020. So next game comes up. Example is the game between Rogers Jonathan versus international master Adair James. So the game went like c4, knight f6, knight c3, e5, knight f3, knight c6, e3, so-called the modern English, popularized by Georgiev Kirill by writing a book on it. So after e3, bishop b4, queen c2 is the main line, and then after castles, knight d5, rook e8, and the queen f5 are the main lines. But I think white mixed up his lines and played knight d5. And after knight d5, black punished it, well, a very simple way, and it's quite admirable. So after knight takes b4, knight takes b4, knight d4, c5, knight b5, d5, and after a3, knight d3, bishop takes d3, e takes d3. So now white doesn't have the bishop pair advantage, which is a main trump in this English variation. And after that, the c takes d5, knight takes d5, castles, and here this was the major point where white, things went wrong from here. So white should have, tried. Okay, obviously white's main goal is to open up that bishop, somehow bring in to the game. So there are two ways somehow to play b4 or b3. But the major problem is whatever white does with the b pawn, a6, and then after knight c3, then knight takes c3, and then black, kind of can clamp the position with like c4 or preparing with b5, c4. So here engines recommend a nice way to play queen b3. So now attacking the d3 pawn, and now black is more or less forced to play knight b6 and then back again with queen d1. So with the idea that if a6, then knight c3, and then white can play b4 and bishop b2. This was simple enough, but really hard to believe during a game. Here white played queen f3. Now it's now tough for white to gain space because f4 was an option to gain space. But after queen f3, f5 now preventing e4 stuff, which was a nice move. And here knight c3, bishop e6, rook b1, and yeah, soon things got worse after bishop takes d5, queen f4, bishop a2, rook a1, bishop b3, and stuff like that. And yeah, it was a premature resign, but it's just enough now, I think, for white. And yeah, I think anyone would really consider resigning here, and I think this was white's choice, resigning here. So this shows, yeah, like I have been always thought that if you move the queen, then your pieces will be behind development. But if you move your pieces too much, then the pawns will get stuck and your other pieces will get also stuck. So a big learning for me, not moving your pieces. Like if we notice back again, white played like knight c3, knight d5, knight takes b4, three moves, and then for another king's knight, knight f3, and then after like e4, knight d4, knight b5, and like knight c3. So it's like four, and I think somewhere knight takes d5. So it's like five moves, three moves, so total 8 moves there. And the result is the bishop had to, be punished there on c1. So this was the second example.